The Odyssey, examining the epic tradition. Who was Homer? He was a blind poet who lived in the 2nd century AD. He authored both the Iliad and the Odyssey. Some say he was a singing poet called a minstrel from the island of Chios. Some think there might have been two, or maybe he was a woman. Some think he might have just been a legend. He was the model of a rhapsody, a member of the class of wandering bards or poets or singing poets called minstrels. Rhapsodies were singers of tales. They were historians, entertainers, and myth makers. There was no written history in this time period, so they had to depend on these poets to tell the stories, mostly by singing them. Homer was most famous for his stories about war. The first was the Iliad, which was about a 10-year war fought on the plains outside of Troy. You can still see the ruins of Troy in the western part of Turkey. The war was fought between the citizens of Troy and the alliance of Greek kings. It, of course, was fought over a beautiful woman named Helen. She had abandoned her Greek husband, King Menelaus, and ran off with Paris, who was the prince of Troy. The Odyssey was Homer's second epic poem about Odysseus, a Greek soldier. He was actually a soldier in the Trojan War, and so it is an epic poem about a journey of Odysseus attempting to get home. His journey takes 10 years. This is the section of the world that is now Greece. So this is where the story will take place. Odysseus was a hero. He was a special class of aristocrat, placed between gods and ordinary humans. We've seen this also in our other characters, Gilgamesh and the Ramayana. He was a hero in trouble. He had to deal with unfairness, and he was not respected by many. Before the Trojan War, he was married to Penelope and had a son named Telemachus. So when he left for war, Telemachus was only a child, and he didn't really want to go, but he couldn't avoid his duties. He was a brave soldier, a good leader, and in fact, Odysseus was the one who thought of the Trojan horse, where thousands of men hid in order to attack the city. Odysseus begins his journey home to Ithaca after fighting for 10 years, and it takes him 10 more years to get home. So of course his son Telemachus is over 20 when he finally gets home. Athena is the goddess of wisdom and battle, is always by Odysseus' side. Poseidon is an arrogant, brutish god of the sea, and is often working against Odysseus. Some say that the Odyssey is really about an argument between Athena and Poseidon. So one, Athena, tries to help Odysseus, and Poseidon, the other, is often against him. What is an epic poem? An epic is an encyclopedia of the manner, customs, and values that bind a whole civilization together. So both the Iliad and the Odyssey are epics. The Iliad is an epic of war, and the Odyssey is an epic of a long journey. So again, we're seeing a hero making a journey, and he's going to do the same things that our other heroes have done. An epic is a long narrative poem that tells the adventures of heroes who in some way embody the values of their civilizations. The heroes of epics teach us virtues to live by. And again, we see the epic cycle. Because they're about heroes, they often follow a hero or epic cycle. The main character is a hero who possesses supernatural abilities. He's charged with a quest. He's tested, often to prove himself worthy. And there's a number of mythical beings. Some are helpful and some are his companions. The hero travels take him to a supernatural world where most humans are barred. Then he reaches a low point where he wants to give up and appears defeated. But then there's a resurrection and restitution where He takes the form of a hero, regaining his rightful place on his throne. And of course, there's always a lesson to be learned. Other epic characteristics. Typically, they begin with a statement of theme. Since people were typically singing these stories aloud, stating the theme at the beginning would get the listeners to pay attention. There's often an invocation of the muse or other deity in which the poet or rhapsody seeks an inspiration and help. Muse is a goddess of the arts. Calliope is the goddess of epic poetry. So, the story usually begins in media res, or in the middle. Major events have happened before, and they must be told in the form of a flashback, and oftentimes there's foreshadowing to see what will happen next. Epic poets also used similes, Homeric or heroic epic similes. We know that a simile is a comparison of things using like or as. So, for example, in the Iliad, Athena stops an arrow from piercing Menelaus. The singer says, "She brushed it away from his skin as lightly as when a mother brushes a fly away from her child who is lying in sweet sleep." What two actions is Homer comparing, and what is he trying to get his reader to understand? There's also frequent uses of epithets, which is a brief, descriptive phrase that helps to characterize a particular person or thing. Aeneas the True, rosy-fingered Dawn, tall-masted ship, versatile Odysseus, wily Odysseus, the noble and enduring man, clear-headed Telemachus, and rosy-fingered Dawn again. Which brings us to repetition. It helped the rhapsody to remember the story. So in singing something, there's often a lot of repetition in order to help people remember what they're supposed to be singing. Some modern examples of an epic would be Star Wars, or The Lion King, The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and Forrest Gump. And we have already read some stories of heroic journeys with the Ramayana and Gilgamesh and also Buddha.